Innovative.
Dynamic.
Gritty.
Determined.
Warrior.
This podcast is about the innovators,
the leaders on the front lines of adversity,
the all-around good people doing good deeds.
They are the civic warriors of the world. Our guests are the leaders in the nonprofit industry affecting change.
They try, they fail, they overcome.
Through their stories, we can join forces to become civic warriors. Hey Warriors, welcome to the show. Withem's guest in today's episode of Civic Warriors is our very own managing partner and CEO, Bill Hageman. We also have a very special guest from our not-for-profit team, Matt Mojica. We are going to cover how Bill and Withem created a culture of corporate philanthropy and how helping charitable organizations isn't always about giving money. Giving back to the community can come in many forms, and it's about helping others, being a leader, and making a difference. Welcome to the show, Bill, and let's get right into it. So thanks for being with us, Bill.
Happy to be here.
There we go.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
So I think we want to just start off, I'll give a little bit of background. I've been here for 14 years. Bill was the initial one that hired me. I still to this day don't know why, but I was an intern. And the one thing I always just remember from just the first couple of years of just, watching a leader lead you is every morning at 7:30 in the morning, Bill would walk around with his coffee in his hand and would just say hello to every employee, no matter what. He was always there. He was always present. And was just very open to just talking, even though I was just an intern or a staff at the point, of just making you feel that you were part of something, that you were part of something bigger. At that time, I believe we were about 300 employees. Now Withem is about 1,100 plus employees. We just moved over to California and have a big presence in both the not-for-profit space as well as many other industries. And Bill's been the leader that has driven us to there. And with all those responsibilities, the one thing that I think we're all impressed with is that you're very involved in many different organizations, and not just charitable, but many different community-based organizations, and very active in our community, in our communities that we serve in. So, just wanted to share that and kick the ball off. So, I guess, Bill, what was the first charity you ever served with? Here, go back a little bit.
So the story is I passed the CPA exam in 1980, and back then when you passed CPA exam, we were about 15 people at the time. Fred Withem, who was one of our founders and was managing partner, would take you out to lunch. And Fred handed me a check for $500 to congratulate me for passing the CPA exam, and now says, what are you going to do with your time? And recommended that I get involved in the community. So I joined the Toms River JCs.
Okay.
And it was a small group of, and JC stands for Junior Chamber of Commerce, and it was a small group of folks that got together once a month, and we didn't do a whole lot in the way of charity. It was more of a guys getting together and talking about and going out drinking afterwards. But I really learned a lot about organizational structure, budgeting, how to behave in meetings, those type of things, and we did benefit some of the local charities, which I can't recall at the moment. So there was some cool things to do, but that was my first.
What drew you to that organization originally?
Excuse me?
What drew you to that organization originally?
I was just looking for something local. I was living in Toms River at the time. I was working in Milltown, which is about an hour away, and I was looking for something to do, and where I could meet some people my own age, and it was mostly folks my own age. So it was good for many years. So
that's fun. Yeah.
Today, just to kind of continue on that theme. Over the years, I've been involved with theater organizations. Mm-hmm. I spent a lot of time with the George Street Playhouse in downtown New Brunswick. Still on that board. I chaired it for 6 years. I spent some time with the umbrella organization which is the New Brunswick Performing Arts Center. And there we have built a whole new community, a whole new theater there, which has really impacted the community from an economic perspective. And I've learned through that arts can really be an economic driver for any downtown. I've also been involved with treasurer for maybe the last 20 years with the Hyacinth AIDS Foundation. And in Hyacinth, we help folks that are infected or affected by the HIV virus. So there we're in some really local communities, tough communities like Patterson and Newark and Trenton, and helping folks that have the disease, but also get involved with some controversial things like needle exchange, which has really had a huge impact on that whole community. And currently, the one I probably spend the most time with is the Parker Memorial Home, where I'm chairman of the board now. And that's an organization that works with elderly. One of the things I'm really proud of there is we're trying to spend more time, helping those folks that are in the donut hole, those folks that make too much to qualify for Medicaid, yet don't make enough to be able to pay for their own nursing home. And that might be, and that is at the nursing home level. But
I imagine that could be a significant gap, right, from a perspective of how expensive elder care is.
That's correct. I mean, your typical nursing home costs around 10 grand. If you make more than $2,500 a month between pension and Social Security, then you don't qualify for Medicaid. If you have more than $7,000 of assets, you don't qualify for Medicaid. So there's a whole bunch of folks that make $2,501. And that's about the number.
I mean, if you make anything over and above Social Security, I'm sure you're over the 2,500.
It's hard, right?
Yeah.
And so it is definitely is an impact for a lot of people. And many folks are needing nursing homes later on in life. I think our average age of someone entering is about 83, 84. So it's much older than you would expect, and you only stay for about 2 years. But to be able to care for those folks at that age, at that time, and be able to provide some relief to the families, I think is important, especially as our population continues to age, and through advances in medical science and that type of thing continues to be older. So, last longer, so to speak. So.
And what drew you to an organization like that?
Well, there it was the people. It's all relationships. Mm-hmm. I knew some folks that were on the board. They were looking for somebody with a different perspective. A lot of those board members are Johnson & Johnson people, Johnson & Johnson employees, so they had a J&J impact of the organization, and they were looking to get about half the board to be non-J&J people. So they asked me to be one of those, and they liked me enough to ask me to be chair, and it's a substantial group, and I'm really proud of some of the changes we've made there to kind of be more focused on the elder community, more focused on diversity and inclusion. So those are the kind of things that we're trying to do there.
That's good stuff. Yeah, that's exciting. So right now you're actively involved in, sounds like 3+ where you're actively
Yeah, I'm probably on 4 or 5 boards. If you
boards,
throw in our HLB International, which is a professional organization that our firm is.
Right.
There I'm on the board, and I'm on their executive committee and vice chair. So it's probably 5 active boards right now. So it takes a little bit of time and effort, and I'm more active in some than others. The folks at Hyacinth, for instance, where I've been a board member for 20 years, don't expect me to come to board meetings anymore. I call into finance meetings, and I call into a board meeting from time to time. But I'm generally there, kind of in the background. The Parker board and the HLB board, I need to be present in all those meetings. The George Street Playhouse board, which I'm still on. They only call on me as needed. So I try to do what you can where you can.
Yeah, that's I know in the organization I serve, and many organizations I work with, board recruitment is a very very complex task that I think many organizations are always looking for qualified, both financial individuals like yourself, as well as people that just will contribute. And I think that's important for people listening to this to understand that you have to sometimes offer a little bit of flexibility with when you approach people, understand their circumstance, not just say, okay, these are our rules and you have to follow them. You have to be here physically in New Brunswick at 8 a.m. every single Thursday. That you may not get the same response as if you say, we want you here at this one meeting and the other 3 call in or be here. We'd like you here, but we understand that you are the CEO of a company that employs 1,100 employees and you may not always be able to be here physically. So I think it's a good message. I think it's good to know that.
Yeah, I think from my years in working with boards, I think the issue with recruitment, it seems like it's a never-ending task.
Oh yeah, it's a rolling process.
Sometimes you need people that can give money, but most times you need people that can give intellectual capital. And the intellectual capital is just as important. So you try to draw a balance between the two. But the Hyacinth chairman, the Hyacinth president comes in once a year. The woman that runs it day to day comes in probably once a year. We spend an hour and a half just talking about the organization, and I try to give her mentorship and that type of thing. And I think she finds that valuable because she keeps asking me to stay on the board.
Sure.
And there have been times when we've had financial crisis, and you got to take a leadership position. So that's when you got to step up and lean into it. So those are the, you just need to know when you need to step in, and when it's pretty routine, I might take a back seat with some of the organizations that I'm on the board with.
Sure. Yeah, I heard one wise person share with me say, the good quality of a board member is one of the following 3: work, wealth, or wisdom. And some people you want to bring some cash. Some people you bring that expertise, or you bring a talent that may not be there. And some we need people to help do the work, whether that's helping the staff, whether that's mentoring the staff, or whether that's just engaging in tasks and missions on the board that we need to accomplish. So
yeah, and depending on the sophistication of the organization, sometimes the board members need to stay out of the day-to-day business, right? You need to be more vision strategy, working with the community, being that community liaison, and then of course helping to raise money, which is generally a focus of most boards.
Yeah, one military concept I always hear whenever I interview anybody that has served in our armed forces, they always kind of differentiate tactical versus strategic. Do you feel that in your role as a board member, do you feel that there's some level of tactical that you have to be involved with, or do you feel the board's role is more strategic, is heavily weighted towards strategic?
So I will tell you, in a perfect world, it's vision and strategy.
Mm-hmm.
But as in most situations, the perfect world just doesn't exist. So there are times when you need to dig into tactical. So you may have, I have a finance background, but you may have an HR background, and you may be having HR problems at the organization. So that HR person needs to be, more in touch with the tactics of the organization and making sure that the board is weighing in to kind of get it through whatever its temporary crisis is.
Sure.
And there are some boards that are, less sophisticated, or some organizations that are less sophisticated. They just can't afford the people. So, you may need to, my first task at Churchill Playhouse was help them with their, set up a accounts payable system. So sometimes you need to get dirty with that stuff, but back then they didn't have the finance staff to be able to do it themselves. So, it depends on what the organization needs, but I think in a perfect world, you want to be strategy vision and then holding management accountable to execution.
Yeah, definitely. No, and I totally I agree with that, but also in the just in the nonprofit world, same with just in a 0% unemployment economy right now, it's very difficult to, especially in the nonprofit world, to keep and retain talent. So I find that board members are becoming more active with daily, not necessarily daily tasks of necessarily serving the community, but daily tasks of helping in any capacity that the organization may be lacking, whether that's jumping in to review the books or whatever it might be that your skill is. So
absolutely correct.
Yeah, no, definitely good to know. One question I commonly get, and I tried to answer through a survey, was why do you donate? So, from your perspective, obviously you serve in these organizations. I imagine they, for lack of a better word, hit you up for a board contribution. But other than that, why do you donate to charity? Like, what do you think? Like, if there's a charity out there that said, I want to find new donors, what is it that drives you to say this is a good charity I want to contribute dollars to?
So for me, it's a combination of mission and relationships. Mm-hmm. As I go back through the years, there are certain organizations I've donated to because I've known the board members. So that's been completely relationship driven.
Sure.
And there are certain organizations that, I just believe in. I believe in the mission. Clearly, the organizations that I give my time to, you have to believe in the mission. And when you look at, organizations that I'm not involved with, and we might give dollars to, whether it be, something like Wounded Warriors, or St. Jude's or things like that. Those things, you kind of just believe in what their overall mission is. Cancer Society is another one, American Cancer Society. So those are the things that you believe in the mission without having that relationship. And I'll be honest with you, you tend to give less dollars to that and more to those that you have relationships with. So I think that is that's certainly a lesson for the organizations. Is you gotta get folks involved, right? People gotta come out, see it, and feel it, and they gotta understand what the mission is, and really see the community that the dollars are benefiting. And that really is the best way to get that emotional connection with your donor. There are very few organizations that can run an ad on TV and get a bunch of money, but most of our organizations need to be out there. It's hand-to-hand combat, fundraising.
Yeah. So this is for you, Matt. So you're I don't know what generation you are. Gen Z?
A little bit between millennial, Gen Z. I'm
Okay.
off by a month. So.
All right. Are you on the positive side or the negative side?
Negative side, I think.
So, in your role, why do you donate? Why would you donate to a charity? What drives you to? And do you feel that donating dollars is more or less relevant than donating time?
I think when I was at school at Stockton, it was, I'd say, mostly based off the relationships you make with the people. You're walking around campus and you see a few of your friends tabling for whether it's Tri Delta donate fundraising for St. Jude or Kappa Sigma raising money for the Military Heroes campaign, or my friend Angelisa raising money for Philadelphia for the Children's Hospital in Philadelphia. I think it's mostly based off those relationships. Like, you'll always be walking around and you'll see a table and you may throw $1, but when you know the people and you know that organization, I think that's when I would personally want to donate the most money. I think one thing a lot of organizations can do that would benefit them the most would be probably just effective event planning as well. At Stockton, some of the best events that they had raised the most money and got people involved. The more creative you are with your event planning and reaching out to the community, I think the more money you'd be able to raise from that.
Yeah, and that's just that active engagement, right? So
Yeah.
I think a lot of us want to be involved, and we just debunked the whole fundraising theory that there's a difference between generations, right?
Yeah.
For everyone, I think that concept, there is a difference, and there's a lot of studies out there that would suggest that there is. But at the end of the day, I think if there's any takeaway, there's a what are you accomplishing and how are you doing it, and the relationship with those individuals, and that's in any. I mean, in our business, it's all relationships, and it's all just being there for people, and really owning up to what you're saying you're doing. I mean, that's honesty and integrity is a huge part of it as well. If you say you're going to do something and you're taking dollars from somebody, you need to do what you said you were going to do.
Just going the extra mile to show I'm willing to table for this, I'm willing to go door to door, I'm willing to put in the extra hours for this cause. I think that's what causes people to really want to donate. Because if I'm passionate about something and I can make you passionate about it, I think that's where a lot of organizations can be successful.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting thought. Yeah. Cool. So one of the switching gears a little bit and just thinking about some of the things that we're doing here. I think one of the cool things I'm seeing a lot of organizations do is they start corporate giving type programs, or they start corporate foundations that are heavily supported by their employees or through payroll deductions. I guess, Bill, you want to talk a little bit about our hardship fund and kind of why we created it, what the genesis behind that was?
Yeah, the hardship fund is something I'm really proud of. 2012 in the Northeast, we were hit by Hurricane Sandy.
Yep.
And we had a few folks that work for us that lost their homes. Mm-hmm. And, because of circumstances with amount of insurance and mortgages and value, they basically were out of pocket tens of thousands of dollars and had no way to rebuild it. So one of my partners suggested that we set up a fund. And that fund has become the Witham Staff Relief Fund. And basically, we every year raise through payroll deductions money that then the firm matches, and then we run certain events. Our Witham 300, we contribute 50 cents for every mile that people run on behalf of that. We have a PTO program where if you don't use your PTO or want to roll it over, you can donate it, and we'll put $50 per day in, and that is sometimes directed to our staff relief fund. So initially, it was used back in 2013 when we had the big fundraiser for it. It was used to really help people get new homes. The biggest check we wrote, I think, was $90,000, and our partners don't qualify for it, so it's strictly staff. What it has morphed into, now that it's been around for 6 or 7 years, is an opportunity to help those folks that get themselves into some economic bind through no fault of their own. So we've helped women who are in abusive relationships get themselves out of those abusive relationships. They may have felt they're in that relationship just for economic reasons. We've given them a tax-free grant for that. We've seemed to have helped a fair amount of folks that have gotten cancer and can't make ends meet between what disability pays, or they have some extraordinary medical bills. We had one young lady who had a chronic disease that the recommended medication wasn't covered by health insurance, so we wound up paying for that. We've had, unfortunately, a few untimely deaths recently, and we've paid the funeral costs. So those, to any kind of tragedy or any kind of economic hardship that our folks have, we have a little process set up for it. Very, very small committee. We don't make a big deal out of it. We don't go public with the individual's name. And it's just something that we feel good about at the end of the day, that we're helping the Witham community and helping each other when they fall on hard times.
And with that, we do that through a payroll deduction to generate funds for that. So the contributions are coming through, some employees, it's almost like another payroll tax in the sense that you may not even realize that it's coming out. And if every employee gave $1 every pay period, and bi-weekly pay periods or bi-monthly pay periods, that $1, $2 a month, $26 a year times 1,100 people, it starts adding up significantly. If every employee just gives $1. And I think those are that, when you started laying out the math on it, you're like, wow, we had, I think our percentage of employees giving is relatively high. It's a majority of our employees, and yesterday at our State of the Firm, you mentioned, I want that to be 100% of employees, and it would be great when we get there, and I'm sure we will. People see the impact, and people see how we've helped, and, especially because it's so personal, we think about relationships. I mean, we all want to help each other, right? We're a team, and sometimes that little contribution through, because you're going through a hardship, goes a very long way. So, I know it's a great program that was developed, and it's really cool to just see how it's grown, because it's grown since we started it back in.
It's definitely grown. It's grown with our firm, and I don't get involved directly with handing out the checks, but the woman that does, sometimes people are in tears, because they don't know how they're gonna put food on the table next week. And they're dealing with a cancer, or they have children that have issues because of a relationship they're in. So those are the kind of things that you just feel great about, and you quietly feel like, we are helping each other out. So, I have a lot of empathy for our folks, and it's one of the things I'm probably most proud of that we have done since I've been in charge. So.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, no, great stuff. And I've seen a few. I've worked with a few organizations that have had, corporate giving programs, corporate foundations. Some of them public charities, some of them private foundations. And you can see Matt worked on one with me too, and you can see the impact. Auditors just kind of look at numbers, but when we see some of these hardship funds, you can see the impact it has, and you can see. Some of the difficulties that all of us go, no one goes through life unscathed, and no good deed goes unpunished. So it's a good thing that we do that, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud to be an employee of somewhere that contributes that way. So it's a good thing. One of the things jump in. Yeah.
So I was going to say,
yeah. Don't let me overpower you with with my illustrious voice.
One thing that stood out to me during my training was the Empower Donation Program. How did that start off? And I guess talk about a few of the organizations that we've given to through the Empower Donation Program.
Yeah, so that is fairly recent. Its genesis was really that, probably 7 or 8 years ago, we would have weekly fundraisers.
Jeans days.
Where jeans to work and donate $5, and we were accumulating money. And we would sponsor a different organization kind of every week. And we had a whole process built around that. And much to my chagrin, that when we went to Dress for Your Day, where you could wear jeans any day that it was appropriate, Jeans Friday and that $5 contribution went away. As much as we tried to have programs around other different strategies to raise money for the community, it just didn't happen. So about a year ago, our Empower class, which is our entry folks, one of our people come up and said, why don't we have them come up with one charity for the whole year? Why don't we have them run fundraisers in each office? It'll help build leadership skills for them, and it'll help benefit the community. So last year, that group picked JDRF. This year, that was the 2018 Empower class. 2019 picked Rebuilding Warriors. We raised about $16,000 last year. I've challenged the new class to raise $20,000 or more. And it's the local fundraiser. They run local events, and they do little things in each office. So you don't raise a ton of money with any one of those. But you hope that it'll accumulate to a number that'll have some level of impact. At the same time, building leadership skills and project management skills for the folks that are running those fundraisers.
What kind of fundraisers did they run last year?
You're going to challenge me here. I think in one of the offices, the office we're sitting in right now, which is East Brunswick, they ran you had to make a donation and count the jelly beans.
Oh, okay.
In a jar.
Those are hard. I've always been bad at those.
Yeah, I didn't even bother. I just threw $20 in and didn't put a number down. And others have they've done just a variety of things. I'm struggling here to come up with other ideas, but there was a few pretty good ones. And the ones that got were more creative wound up raising the most money in terms of offices. So it was actually pretty good, something that we're very happy with and proud of.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool that we do that, and it also kind of centralizes an effort. And so I think the Jeans Days were random; they were smaller impact. We were picking a charity.
It was a weekly.
Weekly, yeah,
okay.
And different offices were supporting different things. And I think this firm front of let's pick an organization, let's work with them, and then at the end of the year, I mean that's a fairly sizable check that organization didn't have the year before. That we were able to contribute to them. So. Yeah, just thinking about different programs organizations can do. It's just another way, get your employees involved in a mission that's, not too hard to do, and it also gets the younger folks involved in fundraising, right? And fundraising is an interesting topic that some of us enjoy, some of us don't enjoy. Some of us like asking people for money, some of us not so much. But when you're passionate about the cause, it's easy to do that. So that's a cool thing. And who are we supporting this year? It's the
Rebuilding Warriors.
Rebuilding Warriors, yeah.
Yeah, it's an organization that puts service dogs with veterans that have PTSD.
Got it.
And there's been a lot of research around how that helps them. It's a great organization. So I'm actually looking forward to. Hopefully, we'll raise a fair amount of money for them this year.
Yeah. I think there's no question in my mind that we will.
One of the for Empower, the veteran came in and he brought in the service dog. So
Okay.
we all got to meet the service dog, which was really nice.
Yeah. Good stuff. So if you were a guy just starting out your career and you said, man, I really, I don't have a lot of capital. I don't, I'm just starting out. I'm kind of dealing with everything I'm dealing with. Where would you get started, Bill? If you were to start over and you said, man, I want to get involved in a charity, what would you do? So once you pass the CPA exam, so none of our employees that think that they're going to get away without passing that. But
Well, I think that
you better pass that exam. Get over it.
I I think that what you have to do is follow your passion.
Yep.
And you know, go to an organization where you have friends or that type of thing. You know, there are other organizations that I've been involved with over the years, Kiwanis Club and stuff like that I joined that are somewhat quasi-business related, but also, you know, have a charity focus. And I think the more people you network with, the more relationships you build, that leads to other organizations that might be a little more sophisticated. But you get involved. I mean, many organizations, you know, American Cancer Society is one I could think of, has, you know, little teams that that you can get involved with that aren't board level, but they're community level teams. My son is involved with Covenant House, which does a phenomenal job with homeless children, and you know, did the sleep out overnight in New York City 3 or 4 times, and that taught him a tremendous amount about A, what it's like to be homeless, B, you know, he got his friends together, and then they, on top of raising money at the sleep outs, they went and they did bar crawls and they did 5-mile runs and things like that, and you know, so it built a sense of community for him, and you know, him and I play in their annual golf outing now. He brings me to that, and I'm really happy to do that and support what I think is a very good organization. So I think you got to follow your passion. Follow your passion, follow relationships. It's sometimes very hard to walk into an organization you don't know anybody. And I always tell people, just go ahead and do it, right? Mm-hmm. You know, you got to sometimes get outside your comfort zone. And doing that, you'll be surprised how accepting people are, how easy it is to make friends, and how much you're going to get out of it. One of the things I've always found with organizations is that I've always gotten more out of it than I've put in. There's a lot I've learned about leadership skills, about patience, about trying to understand how other people think. You know, you sit around a boardroom and you have folks that don't have jobs, right? They don't have jobs because they're housewives, they're independently wealthy. You have folks that might be lawyers, you have folks that own their own businesses, that are entrepreneurs. And what you sit around a table and you sit there and you think, wow, these people all think differently. Mm-hmm. And somehow you're able to draw a conclusion, a consensus around the board around any individual topic after listening to all sides of the issue, all sides of the problem. So that taught me a tremendous amount relative to leadership, which I probably use on a daily basis here at Witham. So, you know, you wind up, if you think about it, the education you get is probably more valuable than the cost of your time, the benefit of your time, and the dollars that you put in.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. Yeah, and if anyone is unsure but has some time, just walk down to your local firehouse or EMS station and talk to them. I know I'm on the fire company, and every fire company right now is looking for new young blood to get involved in the firehouse. There is a volunteering gap, if you will, and you know, you'll find that it's you know, Bill was mentioning before, kind of getting involved with some people that just have a few beers, talk, laugh, and then get their job done. It's kind of what it's like, which is a good thing. But you know, you also get I will say I totally agree with what Bill says about just getting the reward of giving back. You know, I contribute to the firehouse. I volunteer my time. You know, we don't get anything in return except we get fed, which is a great, you know, can't discount that. But you know, volunteering and being a first responder is actually a great way to give back, and it's a great way just to get involved if you want to actually, you know, tactically do the work and experience being a part of a community. You know, it's a great thing. Plus, you know, you're helping your neighbors, you're helping others, and really doing that. So if you're really unsure, just walk down to your local volunteer fire company and ask them. Just be prepared if you want to go to the fire academy. It's about 250 hours of in-class time, and get ready to study. It's like the CPA exam. Yeah. Cool. Any closing thoughts you want to share? You know, I think a lot of this, I think we talked about kind of leading from the tone from the top, kind of creating a culture of corporate giving. You know, any final thoughts you want to share with us?
No, I think as a business leader, there's a real business case to give into the community. I think that for us to have healthy communities for which we're going to draw our team member base is very important, and healthy communities have viable not-for-profits that help those folks that are less fortunate than the rest of us, and being able to make sure that those folks are taken care of, being able to have a healthy community all around and a balanced community, I think is important. And I think that's, at the end of the day, winds up being the business case. And I'm proud of what the firm has been doing for the community. We've been doing it for the entire 45 years, so I can't take credit for it. It's just part of our ethos that we have. So I would highly encourage all organizations to think community-based and to think about how that can benefit the folks that work for them.
Great, thank you.
What about you, Matt? Closing thoughts?
I'd probably say I think one of the most important things is to find something you're passionate about. Whether you're a young person starting off, if you're in college, get involved as soon as you can. Something we always talked about in college was student development theory, and the more things you get involved with, the more successful you are in college. So find those things you're passionate about and always try to give back to the community there.
Yeah, I agree. And working in the community you work in, community you live in, communities that you're a part of that may be virtual, not necessarily physical, all are good opportunities. And like I said, if you're really unsure, always get, I'm a big advocate of this, and not in a selfish way, because, we don't see the benefit of it, but give to your local police, fire, EMS, whatever you can spare. They go through and kind of some volunteer their time, some obviously are paid, whether it's fire, police, or EMS, and it's always good to give back to because it's a very thankless job in some regards. Our police officers and that, and they do a lot of good for our communities. They hold your communities together, and all those dollars go to a good cause. So I'm always a big advocate of supporting your local community, as well as in your work community, and supporting those organizations around you. I think in working with Bill for years, just seeing how New Brunswick's developed over however many years, the last 40 years. J&J came in, Bill came in and redeveloped New Brunswick, and it's been a good thing seeing it develop. And now it's I was on a United flight, and there was a New Brunswick Development Corporation ad about how New Brunswick, it was a story telling about how New Brunswick's developed over the years on a United plane, which however many people travel United. And it was cool to see. It was cool to see the story they told about how New Brunswick developed, and I'm excited to be part of a firm that supported that. We've been actively involved in boards, as Bill mentioned, and actively involved in many initiatives in that local community. So and it you can feel the impact around you. You can see it around you, and it's an exciting thing. So encourage everybody to find something they're passionate about, as Matt said. Give back and really push that, and let's make a better world. So go team. So all right, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Matt. Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This was a pleasure.
Hey Warriors, thanks for tuning in. On the next episode of Civic Warriors, we'll talk with Kelly Post-Sheedy, Executive Director of the Joseph H. Firth Youth Center in Phillipsburg, New Jersey. She shares insight about being a positive light in the community and more than just a local youth center. Make sure to subscribe to Civic Warriors, and thanks for all your support. Have a great day.